Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Pittsburgh could resurrect Russell Wilson's career, analyst believes. Under Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers, quarterback Russell Wilson could have a fine third act of his career. One that might push him over the top into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Reacting to Wilson's recent video showing him in the boxing ring, Brooks poked a little fun at his form, but the larger and more positive point was about his chances with the Steelers. I'm a firm believer that going to Pittsburgh is really going to help resurrect his Hall of Fame chance if he's able to get it done in the Steel City, Brooks told NFL Network's Tom Pelissero on The Insiders. All that magic that left his game will be back on his game and his name. I'm excited to see what he does under the leadership of Mike Tomlin. Russell Wilson is aiming to reverse course after 2 difficult years in Denver. That came with 2 different head coaches but underwhelming results in both seasons, missing the playoffs. Joining Pittsburgh should create more stability with a stronger supporting cast in key areas. The Steelers have a better running game, though it must get off to a quicker start. That is a reasonable ask. With a revamped and improved defensive line that's the Steelers' best in at least 5 years. As Brooks implies and other analysts have said, if Wilson can't succeed in Pittsburgh, it could spell an early end to his career. Wilson is on record saying he would like to play into his 40s. Wilson didn't have to wait long to find a new home with the Steelers, immediately visiting the New York Giants and Pittsburgh while the Las Vegas Raiders showed interest. But a poor year with a highly regarded franchise would make for a real negative mark without any excuse on an ever-changing franchise. Mitch Trubisky quickly signed with Pittsburgh as a reclamation project, failed with the Steelers, and had to settle for a backup job back in Buffalo. Russell Wilson is much older and could have difficulty finding a suitor, especially to start in 2025 if things go south in 2024. There's been as much attention on the Steelers' quarterbacks as there has been in years. Frankly, there isn't much else to add to the storylines, and this is fodder until camp begins late next month. But once the reps and games begin to count, the spotlight will be bright on Pittsburgh's situation, good or bad. Steelers noticed troubling Justin Fields' issue during minicamp. The Pittsburgh Steelers are one of the teams to keep an eye on in the AFC North this season, as their 2-headed monster at quarterback of Justin Fields and Russell Wilson acclimates itself to the Steeler way. Fields, however, struggled in a key area during minicamp that has some team insiders feeling worried as the spring and summer seasons get going. The latest reports show that the former Ohio State football star could have ways to go in terms of his development for coach Mike Tomlin's team. Steelers insider Ray Fittipaldo shared the info in an article posted by SteelerNation.com recently. The knocks against Justin Fields coming in, a lot of it was accuracy, he said. Can he put the ball where it needs to be on a consistent basis? Just from observing, and talking to the people in the building, that was a little bit of an issue. The Steelers insider issued a qualifying statement about the Fields situation that is important to note. Fields and new QB Russell Wilson are both in unfamiliar situations. Both Justin Fields and Wilson are considered to be veterans at opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of where they are in their careers, but they both walked into a situation where expectations are high for coach Mike Tomlin's Steelers. Pressure is certainly a factor, along with the newness of it all from system to location to teammates. I wouldn't make it a big deal in May and June, guys, Fittipaldo said. I think you have to remember, number 1, he's coming in and he's with a new team. He's with a new OC, a new QB coach. They're probably trying to tinker with his game a little bit before they throw him out there in July. Last season, Fields completed 61.4% of his passes for a Chicago Bears team that was outmatched at virtually every skill position on the field. Fields still will have the ultimate say over whether he succeeds or not, and all eyes will be on him with even more intensity by the time the preseason rolls around. Fittipaldo, Dak Prescott is not a viable option for Steelers in 2025 free agency. While there is still much to be decided in the 2024 season at quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, some are already shifting their attention to the offseason and free agency ahead of the 2025 season when it comes to the signal caller for the black and gold. Regardless of what happens with Wilson and/or Fields, there is some buzz regarding the Steelers and Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott being a realistic fit in free agency. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler stated last week that the pairing could make sense as the Steelers might have a need and the organization would be a great landing spot for Prescott with head coach Mike Tomlin at the helm. But for the Post-Gazette's Ray Fittipaldo, Prescott simply isn't a viable option for the Steelers. Dak is making over $40 million with the Cowboys, right? So for me, no matter what happened, let's say he has a bad year in Dallas. He's not going to come down to the point where he's going to be a bargain, Fittipaldo said, according to video via 93.7 The Fan on YouTube. Dak has been like, what, top 12, top 10 type of guy, even if he's not viewed that way anymore, is he going to want to take a $10 million pay cut? So, I don't think that's a viable option. And to be honest with you, I don't know what's going to happen to Fields or Wilson. I don't want to call it a disaster, but I think the hope within the Steelers organization obviously is one of those guys works out. And I think preferably for them it would be Russell Wilson and they could ride this out for a year or two beyond 2024. While the Steelers might be hoping, and preferring, that Wilson works out in 2024, leading to a long-term deal between the two, best-laid plans can often go awry. There is a legitimate chance that the Steelers are being discussed as a landing spot next offseason for someone like Prescott, assuming the Cowboys ultimately don't get a long-term deal done with him, leading to him reaching free agency. Prescott had a great season in 2023 with the Cowboys, completing 69.5% of his passes for 4,516 yards and 36 touchdowns to just 9 interceptions. He was a Pro Bowler and led the NFL in passing touchdowns last season and will be just 31 next offseason. But if he reaches free agency, Prescott could be looking at roughly $60 million per season as the quarterback market continues to blow up across the league. Most recently, Jacksonville's Trevor Lawrence landed a $55 million per year extension from the Jaguars, becoming the latest quarterback to get big money. That seems a bit of a stretch financially for the Steelers. Of course, they can make anything work, but it doesn't feel all that wise, or likely, for the Steelers to hand out a $60 million per year deal to a free agent quarterback. Pittsburgh invested in its quarterback room this offseason, landing Wilson on a veteran minimum deal for $1.21 million, and then flipping a conditional 6th-round pick to the Chicago Bears for Justin Fields, though they did decline the 5th-year option on the Ohio State product. And you fan? What do you think of the situation of Dak Prescott? Leave your opinion in the comments.